Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optics Podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in film, Devin, and today we're here to present our spoiler-free review of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at FilmOptics. That is optics with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptics@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, what's going on? How's your weekend been? What's going on in your life, buddy?
Not too much. Just getting through this Monday here. It's a very special day today. I guess we should probably give our big announcement that I think we decided to go back to Broke Boy Gaming. It's the official name of our podcast moving forward.
Yeah, all of you OG listeners out there, we're completely stripping. Well, this is our last ever movie review podcast ever, and we're just going to we're going to go back to the world of video games, back to our roots, and kind of just spread our wings there. You have no idea how high we can fly.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this being our last podcast episode ever, any last words you'd like to say to the old Film Optics as a in memoriam?
It's been real. On this great date, April 1st, 2024. It's finally over.
Finally over. Nah, we're just kidding. April Fools.
I actually did have I did an April Fool's double header movie watch on Saturday night. I was talking to you about the one that I watched, but I did Ricky's to Nicky, which was not good at all, and it was like 2 hours long. It was ridiculous. Followed by Aquaman 2.
I was so confused when you said Aquaman 2. I was like, it's not a requirement.
I mean, I felt like it was. It was the last one left. Like, I might as well watch them all. There's no more after that. It's the final one, and it went off with quite the whimper.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. For people who have listened to our recent Blu-ray review roundup, that was one of the titles that we covered, but I was able to get a review copy, so I didn't have to spend a dime on it. I was like, you know what, that's fine. I feel like that's fine. But yeah, it's very forgetful, and I actually already gave it away to someone who's an Aquaman fan, so they are happy as a clam. So that's all that matters. But yeah, I'm happy that you're doing so well. I have been rewatching X-Men like 97, episodes 2 and 3 specifically, and I finally finished the Quiet on Set docuseries, or for now, because I know there's another episode coming out. But that was heartbreaking. It was very heartbreaking. It's
painful.
Extremely painful, because I used to idolize Drake Bell when I was a kid. Like, I wanted a cherry red guitar just like him, which I actually ended up getting for Christmas one year. And he was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to start playing guitar. And it's crazy to think, during that time when we were, that happened like a little bit before Drake and Josh though. But, even the ramifications of him.
It just makes all of Drake and Josh feel so much worse because he was going through all of that while filming that.
Like it was kind of more so post, because I think it was like in between, right before the Amanda show. But yeah, like during that time, he really was just dealing with the aftermath of it for so long. And it's like, it's crazy to think that was happening, that had just happened to him like right before Drake and Josh and him, just battling with that. That's crazy. That's insane. And then I sent you that Kenan Thompson clip. I mean, he wasn't in the actual docuseries, but he was on some talk show host saying, he wasn't really a part of like the Dan Schneider Empire kind of thing. I think he did do like an episode of iCarly. It was like iParty with Victorious. So it was like the iCarly and Victorious cast together. But like his time was like a little bit before all that, or during all that, and then Kenan and Kel. So like Dan Schneider was like around, but he wasn't like the powerhouse that he was during his time. But I agree with Keenan when he kept saying, you got to just keep investigating, because that's hurtful. That is so hurtful. But on a lighter note, I would actually like us to like kind of cover Quiet on Set as an episode. I think that'd be really interesting, because it's something that we grew up with. But that would be a conversation for another time. Today, we're here to talk about some Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. A very long name. I didn't really care for the New Empire part. I thought it would be fine just calling it Godzilla X Kong, but I guess people might be a little confused because there was Godzilla versus Kong. So
this just made things more confusing.
It really did. I think so. Maybe they should have just said Kong X Godzilla, but it doesn't flow well as Godzilla X Kong or Godzilla versus Kong altogether. But yeah, it's a very strange title, because I'm still trying to figure out what empire we're talking about here.
The Monkey Empire.
The Monkey Empire. We got a lot of monkey stuff happening here. We got the Planet of the Apes coming out. We got Godzilla X Kong, and we have Monkey Man coming out in theaters very, very soon.
Yeah, just like that tweet I sent you. It's hot monkey spring right now. Got a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of monkey business going around. It's the year, even though it's the year of the dragon, it would be very interesting and funny if it was actually the year of the monkey. But as I said, as I mentioned before, we're going to be diving into our spoiler-free review of Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. I keep wanting to say Frozen Empire, and I hate Ghostbusters for that.
The year of the Empire.
But with all that said, and without further delay, we'll be right back after this introduction to Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire.
Kong, we've discovered a signal. Something is coming. Something even they're afraid of. This world has more secrets than we could possibly imagine. For most of human civilization, we believe that life could only exist on the surface of our planet. What else were we wrong about?
And we are back with our spoiler-free review of Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. I think from here on out, I'm just going to say Godzilla X Kong, just to make it a little bit easier, because that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful to say. But this film is directed by Adam Wingard and stars Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, and Dan Stevens. And the writers include Terry Rossio, Simon Barrett, and Jeremy Slater. And the synopsis is as follows. Two ancient titans, Godzilla and Kong, aka King Kong, clash in an epic battle as humans unravel their intertwined origins and connection to Skull Island's mysteries. So, Devin, I got to ask you, before we jump into our initial thoughts, our reactions here, were you able to watch any of the Godzilla movies leading up to this new kaiju verse almost? Technically starting with, what was it, Godzilla 2014, I think?
Yeah, it was Godzilla in 2014, yeah.
What, were you able to watch anything like Godzilla related? And you watched the Monarch series. I actually forgot about that. You said you
Yeah, I was actually going to mention, right? I did watch the Monarch series, and that was pretty good on Apple TV, kind of a different angle of all the monster stuff going on. But as far as the movies, I did not watch any. I probably should have, because to be honest, I don't remember like anything from these movies, because these are just movies that you shut your brain off. So it's like, yeah, I guess I shut my brain off and then don't remember anything from them. I guess the only one that is kind of differentiating itself is Kong Skull Island, because it's like the different setting and everything. So it kind of stands out a bit more than the others, but the other ones just kind of, there's just nothing there. I mean, I like them all. Like, they're all entertaining, but just did not stick in that memory.
I'm with you there. When it comes to rewatching, I did not rewatch any of them either. I just simply just didn't have time. So we had Godzilla 2014, and then Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then Godzilla versus Kong. And this is the next one. So yeah, this is the 5th installment of this kaiju verse, I guess you can say, this kaiju universe.
The American kaiju verse.
Yes, the American kaiju verse, because we also had another Godzilla movie that was hitting theaters in early December.
Godzilla is just so hot right now.
Yeah, Godzilla -1 came out later last year, but it was like around December 1st. So if you were able to watch that movie, congratulations, it was awesome. If not, hopefully there'll be a Blu-ray copy, or it'll hit like VOD or streaming services at some point in time. But Devin, enough chitter chatter here. Let's get into the weeds and the potatoes, the meat and the potatoes of this episode. What are your initial reactions, your spoiler-free thoughts on Godzilla x Kong?
Yeah, going into this one, like I mentioned before, kind of just turn your brain off. No thoughts, just watching some monsters beat up on each other, and that's kind of the mindset I had going into this one. Got some popcorn and just sank down into my seat and got comfortable. And I think this one, as much as I don't remember the other ones, I think this one might have the same fate, but I think it was just entertaining overall. Like at the end of the day, you're just watching giant monsters do giant monster things. I think that's what you should be looking for with these movies. Like, you shouldn't be digging too deep into the story or the writing or the plot or anything, because it gets really silly. Like, certain plot points in this one are just so convenient, it's almost painful. But you just kind of gotta not worry about that. Just forget about it and just look forward to the monsters, big monsters doing monster things. Like, I just loved how in this one it kind of humanized the monsters a bit, especially Kong. Like, it gave him a lot of human traits. Like, the opening sequence of this movie reminded me so much of Shrek, like the Shrek shower sequence, because Kong has his own little shower sequence he goes on here, and he has kind of a disgusting little snack that he enjoys as well, just like Shrek did. So it's kind of cool just seeing Kong just be one of the boys, just hanging out in his world, and then he gets some new friends to hang out with. He gets some more monkeys in the deeper earth, whatever they called it. Ended up being a deeper area within what do they call it? Deep Earth? What is it called?
They call it Hollow Earth.
Yeah, Hollow Earth. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of, it's cool to see different variations of the giant apes on screen, and then the little guy was definitely a scene stealer. I kind of just want to call him Kevin. He just reminds me of a Kevin. I don't know why.
The guy that looked like Ace Ventura.
No, the little orange monkey.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the little buddy.
Kong.
Yeah. He just reminds me of a Kevin. I have also seen on Twitter people saying he looks like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle. I can kind of get that vibe as well.
He does.
So yeah, I definitely enjoy that. I think that's all very entertaining. Not as much Godzilla in this one. Kong definitely takes the reins of this one. It's more of a story about him. And I think as far as the human side of things goes, that's always the thing you have to bring up with these movies, is basically you just don't want the humans to get in the way. And I think this movie did a decent job of, first of all, I like the cast a lot. Like Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Dan Stevens, they're all great. And they're all doing their thing. And I think they didn't do too much to distract from the monsters. And I also appreciate that there weren't like any government or police interference just like hammering down on everything and kind of getting in the way and mucking things up. It was just like this handful of humans and then the monsters, and they're just kind of dealing with everything, and it doesn't get too in the way.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with everything you've been saying. It is one of those movies where, you know, we've watched the other films in this franchise as of now, and they all kind of start to blend in together, because it's not that, okay, who is Godzilla going to face next? I think it's just more of the human characters, where they really are kind of like, they're there for exposition and exposition only. And I think what Godzilla 2014 did so well, I think that was like the first Americanized Godzilla film that we've had where the human characters, to a point, had a very interesting like story arcs. And then, after Bryan Cranston's character kicks the bucket, it's kind of downhill from there. But at least we had that part leading up to the movie. But I actually put on Letterboxd for Godzilla X Kong. Basically, I was saying how this movie, even though it's called Godzilla X Kong, it leans heavily on Kong. Like, this is a King Kong storyline where Godzilla is there. And I believe Godzilla has around 8 minutes of screen time.
I think it was 10.
Was it 10? Okay. I wasn't sure. I saw a tweet where someone was like comparing the times that Godzilla was on screen from his previous films. It was either 8 or 10. So like between 8 to 10 minutes. And honestly, that's not bad, but it does feel like Godzilla was
it was 8 minutes. It was 10 for the original, 11 for King of the Monsters, 11 for Godzilla vs. Kong, and then 8 for Godzilla X Kong.
Okay. So yeah, and Godzilla versus Kong, like, I mean, he was like there. I feel like when Godzilla was on screen, he was doing more.
There's also a tweet here: Godzilla X Kong Kong screen time is 27 minutes. So
yeah,
almost a little over 3 times.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like yeah, and I think that brings to the point where I was saying, yeah, it's more of a Kong movie, and I mean, I love them both. I think I have a little bit more of a sweet spot for Kong altogether. It's just more charismatic with him. He is like a giant ape, so he is able to connect with humans on some type of level. And, Godzilla is just like this raging monster, which, like all rage, full tilt, full time situation. But I would say that this movie, as well as any other kaiju movie that we've gotten within the past like 10 years, it needs to be seen on the largest screen available. Unfortunately for me, I was not able to catch it in IMAX because for whatever reason, my Regal Theater wasn't playing Godzilla X Kong in IMAX, but Dune Part 2 was playing in IMAX. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a pass. They're taking up their screen time with another fantastic movie. So, I can't get too mad, but I will say I was kind of missing, it kind of took me out of it a little bit just because I wasn't able to watch this in IMAX, because I just feel like something like this really needs to be on that screen. Like I need to feel as small and like as insignificant as possible, like a little speck just watching this massive screen to really draw me in. But when it comes to the kaiju, the monster fights, they are amazing. There's a lot of swinging monkeys and apes around in this one.
A lot of wrestling moves.
Wrestling moves and whatnot. They are really having fun with this movie. And like you said, the opening credits with Kong, it is kind of like a Shrek opening. Now that you mention it, I was like, yeah, it's really just showcasing Kong, what he's been up to in Hollow Earth. Godzilla is reigning the earth itself, and then the Hollow Earth within Earth is more of Kong's domain. And
I do think it's really cool that Godzilla is just like the Earth protector. Like he's just like,
yeah,
he's one of us now, just taking out these random ass monsters everywhere.
Which is weird because the lore says it's like the reverse. Like at least in this movie, it was saying how Kong was like the protector of humanity, and then Godzilla was the protector of something else. But either way, I do agree when it comes to this movie, it's a lot of fun. I would go see it with someone else if they wanted to watch it like this weekend or whatever. But it's not like as memorable, and I'm wondering what the next installment will be. Like, how long are they able to keep up this Godzilla X Kong, or are they ever
based on the box office? I'm pretty sure we're gonna get another one because it really smashed the box office on the opening weekend. From what I was seeing.
No pun intended.
Definitely. I mean, that's more of a Hulk pun, but I guess it can work here too.
Yeah. Kong smash, Hulk smash. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it was a fun time. Brian Tyree Henry, he was more of like the funny guy. And you had the rest of the cast between Rebecca Hall. She always does a good job. And then Dan Stevens. It's just...
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Ace Ventura thing, because he was basically just hamming it up as Ace Ventura in this movie, and it was pretty entertaining. Mm-hmm. He's kind of underrated as an actor. He's usually pretty good in everything he does.
I agree. Yeah, I really did like him a lot.
And he's going to be in Abigail soon here, too.
Yeah. And like, even from, Godzilla has clearly like a new dude almost. He's got the pink nuclear energy rushing through him. So according to IMDb's trivia, the change in color of Godzilla's atomic breath going from light blue to a reddish tint signifies a total boost in power. So he was able to absorb like another Titan's power and like kind of make it his own. But it's interesting how they were able to,
yeah, it's kind of like in this movie, Godzilla's like, he's like going around fighting different bosses and leveling up to prepare for the final boss. It kind of had me thinking, like, imagine how cool a Godzilla or a Kong game could be, where you play as Godzilla or Kong and you just go around fighting other monsters and leveling up. That'd be so cool. I know there was like that terrible Kong movie that came out, or Kong game that came out this year. But if someone made like an actual good one, what was that one called? I forgot. It was like a really terrible one.
I know what you're talking about though, but I think you bring up a good point when it comes to these Titans getting these power ups, because we've seen in Godzilla X, or not X Kong, in the previous movie when Godzilla versus Kong. God, that's crazy. Kong gets like a battle axe kind of thing. And you see that he actually still has it in this movie. And he gets another nice little upgrade, as you might have seen from the poster. It's like a mechanical gauntlet type of thing.
Yeah, that was the most convenient part of the whole movie. It was almost laughable.
I wouldn't say laughable, at least for me. Like, I thought it was a nice upgrade, but obviously there's a reason why he has it.
I mean, I like the upgrade itself. It's just how he got it. It was just like, okay, that's pretty convenient.
They keep giving Kong like these cool tools. I'm like, Kong should be able to hold his own without those. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're just downplaying Kong a little bit.
But he gets all the shine, so I guess that's how they even it out.
I mean, I guess. I mean, even though this isn't really his movie, but they actually kind of reference like who like officially won in the last one. I mean, I still say it's Kong, but obviously, there's a very strong argument for Godzilla as well. But I wanted to ask you, Devin, what did you think of the Scar King, the main villain of this film?
I thought he was pretty cool. Kind of an interesting design. Definitely more of a like slim, like slender type of ape than Kong is. Kind of good job of differentiating the two. And there's already been some memes I've seen on Twitter. A couple of the scenes where he's laughing at Kong. I've seen that used a couple times.
Yeah, that's pretty good. According to IMDb, Adam Wingard actually says that the Scar King almost represents an upscale version of the worst parts of humanity, just as Kong represents some of the best parts of humanity. And I was like, okay, I can definitely see that, because the Scar King definitely had his own little kingdom down there, and didn't really seem like anyone.
And he had his own little Pokemon too. He captured.
He did.
I guess like a little scale from the thing he was using to control it.
Yeah, and it definitely did look. I'm glad you brought up the Pokemon reference, because that monster definitely looked like a Pokemon to me. Like, I was like, okay, what is this? And according to IMDb as well, I'll just bring up a few trivia facts here. Adam Wingard revealed that the movie won't have a dual storyline like the previous one did. I'm like, yeah, that you can definitely tell this is a King Kong movie more so than anything else. But I feel like, if you're going to put them both in a movie, I feel like you kind of have to. But it makes me wonder how long they're going to keep this up. Like, I think we might be able to do like one more like Godzilla Kong movie with them both in it, but eventually I feel like they need to I feel like they eventually need to part ways at some points. So
Godzilla Kong Endgame.
yeah, Kong Endgame would be pretty awesome. So before the release of Godzilla X Kong, the writer and director of the acclaimed Godzilla -1, Takashi Yamazaki, did some PR for the film by watching it early and promoting it on social media, stating that, quote, "I was able to watch the big movie early. It's super fun and gorgeous. Be sure to watch it on the big screen," unquote. So it's really cool how, we can have two Godzilla properties essentially running around within, let's just say, 12 months of each other, because Godzilla -1 came out around early December, and it's March. Well, technically it's April now, but
And they fill different roles like very well, like more the thought-provoking, story-driven one, and then this is just kind of the fun blockbuster one.
right, yeah, and I think that's the best way to put it for sure. But I thoroughly enjoyed. Like, I had a great time with Godzilla X Kong. Millie Bobby Brown is not in this movie. I think she was in Godzilla versus Kong, but I guess she was, I don't know, too busy. Too busy filming for Damsel and probably Stranger things of that nature. But I can't really say that she was missed because, side characters are the side characters after all. But I think this time around they were definitely more engaging, and I liked their banter that they had all together. But Devin, let's kind of wrap up here. Unless you had something else you wanted to mention that we have not had a chance to bring up about this film before we get into our final thoughts and ratings.
I think we covered it all.
All right. So, Devin, what are your final thoughts and ratings on Godzilla X Kong?
Yeah, final thoughts. It's kind of a similar vibe to Ghostbusters, where it's just kind of a fun popcorn movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I say this one more so just because it's cool to see like the giant monsters on screen fighting it out, and that's just kind of what you should be expecting with this one. Like, if you want cool monster action, then definitely go see it, because there's a lot of that, and they do a good job of incorporating that throughout the movie. So as far as the score goes, it's probably going to give it like a solid 67, somewhere around there. Like, the story, obviously, it's not going to be doing much for you, but there's definitely enough action and fun to make up for it.
Yeah. For me, I would go rating-wise like 70 out of 100, just to give it a little bit of fluff, because I feel like, honestly, my score is not far off from yours at all. So it's like, yeah, just literally just bumping it up a few points. I feel like this is like a solid, like, a C, like a solid C movie altogether, because it has everything that you want out of a blockbuster flick. But yeah, I just feel like the plot was just a little too convenient. You saw that clip going around, right? With the I belong with you and you belong with me. And the product placement.
Oh yeah, that car that just popped up.
Is that really how it went? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was. I definitely remember it being pretty jarring. Just like the wide shot of the perfectly placed vehicle.
Dude, I know. Okay, yeah, because I wasn't sure.
Just like Barbie too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this was like just like literally that could have been half of like a car commercial where they're just like Volkswagen. I think it was a Volkswagen or whatever it was, or a Lexus or something. I was like, why does this feel like a car commercial right now? But yeah, I saw the clip going around online. I was like, I couldn't remember if that was like, obviously leading up to that point, I was like, was the car that big in the scene? And I guess so. I just didn't really pay attention to it. But yes, you said 67 out of 100 for you, correct?
Yeah.
Was it 6? Okay. So a 67 out of 100 for Devin and a 70 out of 100 for myself. Because this movie was fun. Just go watch it. It's a lot of fun. We don't hate it. It's a popcorn flick movie. I definitely enjoyed this more so than Ghostbusters, like Devin had mentioned before, but still the plot was just a little too convenient, a little, not convoluted, but I don't know. Even if I rewatch the other Godzilla movies, it's like it all just starts blending together at the end of the day. And which is cool, I guess. There isn't really any like big, story plot points or anything that's coming out of this. It's kind of just, your kaiju monster movies, and that's about it. It's funny how you can actually, these monsters are communicating with each other, especially the apes. Like there's no there's no subtitles, which makes it even funnier. So you kind of just have to like guess what they're saying. But I will say Kong pulls a "This is Sparta" move in this movie because he was mad. I was like, yeah, I would have done the same thing. He said, "Into the pit with you." But yeah, so the average podcast score, our official podcast score, I should say, here at Film Optics for Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire is going to be a 68.5 out of 100. So that would be the median between both of our scores. And with all that said, that does conclude today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Film Optics. Again, that's Optics with an X. And don't forget to share an episode of our podcast with a fellow movie lover out there, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Spread the love for the Film Optics podcast with a movie lover in need. Now let's take a sneak peek what's coming up next on the show. So for our next endeavor, I believe we are covering Monkey Man. Very excited for Monkey Man.
Oh yeah, Monkey Spring is here.
Monkey Spring is here. I think we're seeing it this Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I've seen it Wednesday.
Yeah, I've seen it Wednesday. Yeah, right before you go on your little vacation excursion. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that is something that you can look forward to that is coming up on the podcast within the coming days. And of course, we have a lot of other episodes out there you can listen to. We have covered Immaculate, which was one of the best horror films of the decade, if you actually ask me. It was pretty awesome. I also did a solo episode with a Blu-ray review roundup of Wonka, Aquaman 2, The Color Purple, Wednesday, and more. So definitely check that out, as well as our Ghostbusters Frozen Empire spoiler-free review. And of course, if you're still on that Arrakis Dune fever, we have a spoiler-free and a spoiler review separated for people who want to listen to our Dune Part 2 episodes as well. So with all that said, again, thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay connected with us by following us on Twitter and Instagram and Threads, all the social media garbage, for the latest episodes. That was Devin. My name is Christian, signing off. And remember, life is like a movie. So go out there and make it a blockbuster.
Peace.